welcome to this week's video. I'm Polly, also known as Pollygone Illustration. Usually I share my studio vlogs every week, and that's been something I've been doing quite a lot recently, but I thought I would go back to basics this week and do a speed paint for you guys using coloured pencils and Winsor and Newton ink. So let's go and get started then. So I started out by grabbing all the art supplies as I would need, my pencils, my inks, a palette, paintbrushes and my sketchbook, all ready for me to get working on this piece. The sketchbook I decided to use was this little square sketchbook I own. I got this from Tiger and I haven't used it very often, and I've never used it with inks before, so I thought it would be a good idea to test it out and see how it would respond with Winsor and Newton inks, because I feel like lots of different papers don't actually work that well with Winsor and Newton inks. I think you just need really good quality paper to use them really well and to their best ability. The paper is 300 grams, so I think this will probably do the job pretty well, but it will be fun to see how it looks with the final result. So as you can see, I am sketching out my little bear illustration directly onto the paper. I'm using a erasable coloured pencil so I can easily rub out the lines, and so it doesn't leave any kind of graphite on the page and kind of dull the illustration a little bit. I chose to use the red erasable colour pencils because I want to use lots of warm tones in this illustration, especially with the bear. And I think I might go a little bit cooler with the background, but I will still be using kind of pink and purple tones in there with maybe a hint of blue too. I want my little bear to really stand out against the background, but also for it all to kind of work well together. I want the background to have kind of a magical kind of feel to it, like he's just kind of standing in a fantasy universe. So I'm just getting my inks ready here for me to get painting. So I decided to start by painting the background for this piece, just kind of because I wanted to use the background as a way to kind of set the tone for the colours and the final illustration. So I'm kind of building it up because I wanted to kind of mix several colours together, and I didn't want to put the ink on too thick onto the page. I kind of like the opaque kind of galaxy sky look this is giving me. As I want this illustration to kind of have a fantasy feel to it, I'm not quite using natural colours, if that makes sense, and I also want it to look like it's set during the night, so I am using kind of dark purples for the sky with a little bit of pink and blue thrown in, and then for the ground I am going to be using pinks and purples for shadows, again to kind of give it that otherworldly kind of look, and to make it more obvious that it's set during the night in kind of a dark but colourful fantasy world. As I mentioned earlier, I did say I wanted some kind of more warmer golden tones in the bear, so I am using the brown mixed in with a little bit of yellow and orange for the bear's fur, and then a bright yellow raincoat. I'm going to work into this later to really make the colours stand out and look really bright and cheerful for this little bear. I was a little bit worried that the bear would kind of blend in a little bit too much to the yellow raincoat, so I did go in and add in a little bit more brown and some bright red for shading on his ears, cheeks and his hands and feet. And then I went in again over the background just to make something, just to make it a little bit more standouty, because I felt like the bear was kind of hiding the vibrance of the colour, if that makes sense. I felt like the bear was getting a little bit too vibrant and the background was kind of disappearing behind him, so I did go over it again to really like make sure I got the kind of overall look I wanted, because it was getting a little bit pale when it started to dry. I really liked how the little shadow under the bear came out when I finally finished painting it, but at the beginning, as you can see here, I wasn't 100% happy with it, but I really think it looks great in the final outcome when I go over it with the coloured pencils. I feel like with ink illustrations, they start looking a little bit messy when you first layer down the ink, but when I finally get to the part of adding in the coloured pencils, it really brings it all in together really well. These little stripes I've added in behind the bear are kind of meant to like represent magic, kind of blowing through the air, and I used complementary colours to the purples and the pink floor to kind of bring it all together, so there was kind of the colour similarities there. I really like using colours more than once, but also trying to limit my palette, and I feel like with this illustration I was kind of using lots of different colours in it, but I do think that this swish of magic really brings it all together. And then I went in with my Prismacolor pencils and added in some details. As you can see, I'm going around the little bear. I've added him a big pink bow, and I kind of like go into detail a little bit more with his eyes and his nose, just to make those parts of him really stand out, as I feel like they aren't quite so obvious with just the inks. I use a combination of Winsor colour inks and coloured pencils all the time, but I really do love the final effect. And as you can see, I'm kind of working in with my yellow pencil a little bit more, just to kind of add more splashes of colours in like the brown fur, just to make him a little bit more interesting, and not make the bear completely flat. And then, as you can see, I'm now going into the background and adding in the details into that. So I've added some leaves onto the floor, and I'm working into the leaves a bit to make them stand out a bit more. When I did this with the coloured pencils, I again made sure to use a limited amount of colours. So I'm using the same pink, blue, and brown for all of this illustration. I think I also did end up using a little bit of a darker brown or even a black for the eyes, just because I felt like the eyes needed something to make them a little bit darker, but otherwise I did really limit the colours I used, and then I kind of softly shaded in with the coloured pencils into the background to kind of give it a really nice texture, and just add some more details into it. And then once I was finished, I was super happy with how it looked, but I decided to go and paint in my stars using some white acrylic gouache, because sometimes I would add these in with white gel pen, but I felt like this time I had to do it with gouache to really get the kind of bright, vibrant stars that I wanted. And I kind of just splattered them all over the sky, and this kind of like magical swish in the sky to really give that magical effect I wanted it to have. I also gave him some like little shines in his eyes, because I wanted his eyes to be nice and sparkly to match the background. Overall, I had a lot of fun creating this cute illustration. It's been a while since I've just sat down and kind of done something for fun. I mean, I know I did do this for YouTube, but it was nice not to do something that I wanted to then go on and use it in a product or something for my shop. So here you go, this is the finished illustration. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun coming up with my little bear illustration, and I hope you did too. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment below telling me what you'd like to see me draw next in another speed paint video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be the first to be notified for when I next upload. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!